Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's lesson. In our previous lesson, we looked at how to estimate profit or loss, knowing your cost price and your selling price. So after finding the profit and the loss, you express them in terms of percentages, known as profit percent and loss percent. Now you may be confronted with business scenarios where the cost price of the product is known to you and the profit percent is known to you. So you want to do some analysis to see whether the selling price is favorable for you. So in this case, based on the loss, the formula for profit percent, you should be able to find the selling price. Other cases, you may know the loss percent involved in a transaction and you know the selling price, but you don't know the cost price. You may also want to estimate the cost price to see whether that business is doable, whether you should go ahead and do the business. You have to base on the formula for loss percent before you can make that choice. You'll be able to find the cost price and then you make your business decision based on that. So today's lesson will be focused on finding selling price or cost price given profit and loss percent. So if you want to find selling price or cost price, knowing the profit percent or the loss percent involved, how do you do that? So by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to derive and estimate selling price or cost price given profit percent. The second also is you should be able to derive and estimate selling price or cost price given loss percent. Let me start with the first case. That is, if you know your profit percent, how do you find your selling price and your cost price? So you have to start from, let's recall, in our previous lesson, we were able to state what the profit percent is. You estimate the profit percent by taking selling price minus cost price, dividing it by cost price and multiplying the answer by 100. In this case, we are assuming we know the profit percent. We don't know the selling price. We don't also know the cost price. What you will do to find the cost price is to do simple change of subject, right? It means instead of having profit percent is equal to those other variables, rewrite it in such a way that cost price will be expressed as a function of the remaining variables in the formula. So, going by this, wherever you are dealing with a fraction in an equation, do away with the fraction first before you go on, otherwise it will give you problems. And in this case, we are having cost price as the denominator. The easiest way is to multiply both the left-hand side and the right-hand side by cost price. So you end up with cost price times profit percent is equal to cost price times selling price minus cost price over cost price, all times 100. So that's the next level. Well, the reason we are multiplying by cost price is to do away with the denominator. So if you look at the right-hand side, we have cost price multiplying a term that has a denominator also as a cost price. It means the two can take care of themselves. The denominator, the cost price in the denominator will go with the cost price that is multiplying the fraction. So you reduce it to cost price times profit percent equal to selling price minus cost price all times 100. Now from here, we can just rearrange. You know, selling price minus cost price times 100, you can expand the brackets. You take 100 and multiply by each of the terms. So you end up with cost price times profit percent to be equal to 100 times selling price minus 100 times cost price. If you want to make cost price a subject, you see left-hand side has a term that contains cost price. Right-hand side has a term that contains cost price. You have to regroup the terms. That is what we call collection of like terms. So all terms with cost price are collected on the left. All terms with selling price are left on the right. So if we do that, we have cost price times profit percent plus 100 times cost price equal to 100 times selling price. So you can factor, based on our understanding of algebraic expressions where we learned how to factorize them. You can factorize the cost price, leaving 100 plus profit percent equal to 100 times selling price. So in this case, we want our cost price to stay on the left side. So you will have to divide by 100 plus profit percent so that cost price can be written to stay alone on the left. So at the end of the day, you have cost price to be equal to 100 divided by 100 plus profit percent times selling price. So if you want to find selling price, it follows the same procedure. But the simple trick is that instead of going through that whole change of subject wahala, the change of subject difficulties, you can just find the reciprocal of the cost price. The cost price function is 100 divided by 100 times profit percent multiplied by selling price. You can just reciprocate it. So your selling price formula should be equal to, this time instead of 100 over 100 plus profit percent, the numerator will rather be 100 plus profit percent divided by 100 times cost price. So if you want to find selling price, knowing your profit percent, you take 100 divided by 100 plus profit percent, then you multiply by selling price. If you also want to find the selling price, given the cost price and the profit percent, you take 100 plus profit percent and you divide by 100, multiply it by cost price. That will give you the selling price. Now the next thing that we shall look at is the loss percent. If you also know your loss percent and then you know your cost price or selling price, how do you determine the cost? If you know your loss percent, you know your selling price, how do you determine your cost price? Or if you know your loss percent and your selling price, how do you? The first one is loss percent with selling price. You can find cost price. Loss percent with cost price, you can find selling price. It's the same thing. So as we have seen, we again have to multiply the formula by cost price. I've numbered it equation 2, which is loss percent is cost price minus selling price over cost price times 100. If you multiply both the left-hand side and the right-hand side by cost price, you end up with cost price times loss percent is equal to cost price times cost price minus selling price over cost price times 100. So this you can simplify it based on our previous knowledge, what we did earlier. I don't need to take you through all of that. You just have to simplify it, and then you come to where I've written asterisk. You can rewrite it as 100 times selling price is equal to cost price into brackets 100 minus loss percent. So from here, you see you can write it such that cost price will be equal to, you can make cost price as a function. You can rewrite it as a function, or you can write it in terms of other variables. Divide by 100 minus loss percent. If you do so, then you have your cost price to be equal to 100 divided by 100 minus loss percent times selling price. Just similar to what we did earlier in case of profit percent. Here, you also take the reciprocal to get the selling price. So the selling price should be equal to the denominator, which is 100 minus loss percent divided by 100. Then you multiply that by cost price. So that's how to deal with issues or questions involving loss percent and profit percent. We take an example. So we have a trader paid 15 Ghana cedis for 6 drinking cups. He bought 6 drinking cups and he paid 15 Ghana cedis for each of them. One of the cups got broken. He sold the remaining 5, making a profit of 10%. Calculate the cost price of each of the 6 cups. Already they have indicated the cost price of each of the 6 cups, which is 15 Ghana cedis. But if you like, you can multiply the 15 by 6. That will give us 90. It means the total cost of the 6 cups is 90. Now to find the cost price of each, you find simple average. That is, you divide the total price, which is 90 Ghana cedis, by 6. You end up with 15 Ghana cedis, as stated in the question. Now the next one is to find the selling price of each of the 5 cups. Before you can find the selling price of each of the 5 cups, you first have to find the selling price of the 5 cups. So we know our cost price to be 90 Ghana cedis. Cost price for the 6 cups to be 90 Ghana cedis. And the selling price for 5 cups. Remember, the selling price will be for the 5 cups because one of the cups is broken. So your selling price will be based on the 5 cups that are remaining. So what do? Knowing your cost price to be 90 Ghana cedis and also knowing your profit percent to be 10%. So you go back to the derivations that we did and you would recall that we said if you want to find cost price, knowing profit percent, take 100, divide by 100 plus profit percent, then you multiply by selling price. That is how to find cost price if you know selling price and profit percent. In this case, we know our cost price and we know our profit percent, but we don't know our selling price. So just reciprocate it. Instead of 100 divided by 100 plus profit percent, it gives us 100 plus profit percent divided by 100 times cost price. That will give us the selling price. What is the profit percent? It is 10. So you get 10, 100 plus 10 divided by 100. What is the cost price? It is 90 Ghana cedis. So 100 plus 10 is 110. You multiply 110 by 90 and you divide the result by 100. The denominator carries 2 zeros. Numerator carries 2 zeros. So the 90 becomes 9. The 110 becomes 11. So it is 11 times 9. But the zeros in the denominator also goes. So 11 times 9 gives us 99 Ghana cedis. So based on the information we have, the selling price for the 5 cups, remember one of the cups is broken, it will be 99 Ghana cedis. Now the question did not ask us to find the overall selling price. It says find the selling price of each of the 5 cups. So knowing the selling price of the 5 cups, you find simple average by dividing 99 Ghana cedis by 5, which is equal to, you see, there's a way to deal with some of these divisions. It's 99 divided by 5. You have to divide it into tens and ones or units. The tens are 9. You ask yourself, how many 5s are in that? 5 will go into 9. How many times? Once. Remaining 4. The 4 that is remaining becomes what? 4 tens. So you have 1. Remaining 4 tens. The 4 tens will go with the 9 ones to give you 49. So 5 will go into 49 how many times? You see, 5 times 9 is 45. So you get 9. So you have 1, 9. You are dealing with 49. So there will be a remainder of 4. So you end up with 1, 9, which is 19. 19 whole number, 4 divided by 5. And during our lessons on fractions, to be able to find 4 over 5, you just need to know 1 over 5. Then you multiply that by 4. 1 over 5 gives us 0.2. When you multiply 0.2 by 4, you get 0.8. So instead of 9 whole number, 4 over 5%, you can write it in decimal fraction form as 19.8 Ghana cedis. So now the profit made on each cup sold. The profit is just the difference between the selling price of each cup and the cost price of each cup. The selling price is 19.8 minus 15. You end up with 4.8 Ghana cedis. Before I end the lesson, I will give you a take home which you will have to look at before our next lesson. And it goes this way. A man bought a car for 2,500 Ghana cedis and later sold it for 2,000 Ghana cedis. What was his loss percent? So based on this question, calculate the loss percent of the man who bought a car for 2,500 Ghana cedis and sold same for 2,000 Ghana cedis. This brings us to the end of today's lesson. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.